So that's the macro, basically, viewpoint on why these the times of crisis can also be huge opportunities if you're building a business, if you want to create something new that would drive your own value creation and building the economy. So then let's take that to your own to the entrepreneurial level. Why would you start any business in times of recession, when things are slow and it might be more difficult to get funding and everything feels bleak and lousy? I think there are many reasons. If you have a plan, if you know what you want to do long term, I think there are many reasons to go for it. One thing, of course, is when companies around you slow down. Some companies go bankrupt. Some companies just get scared and wait. Everyone else slows down. Oh, so there's going to be more space for you to run if everyone else stops. There's going to be less competition for attention from all sorts of audience. There's going to be less competition for attention from, say, media. There's fewer companies have cool stories to tell. So if you have a cool story to tell, it might be much easier. The barrier to get some media coverage might be lower than in boom times when media might be swamped with stories. Same goes might even be true for investors. Investors invest less. They might be more critical to new investments, but if you have a good story, if you have a good business plan, these investors might also be less busy than they are in boom times. So there might be less business plans to look at, and they might want to spend their time with something that sounds at least remotely interesting. So even here, your chances of getting that audience might actually be bigger if you have beef in your thing. Same, of course, goes for talent. I mean, building any business, you'll need people. You need good people and talent. Now, getting this talent, attracting this talent at slightly more competitive price, of course, also going to be much easier than in overheated times when people get too opportunistic and jump from company to company and for 100 euros more. So that's attention. Also, from the business point of view, if you're in B2B business, if you provide services or products to companies, why does the company buy from you? Of course, a company buys a service or product either to make more money or to save some money. In times of economic hardship, any real new opportunity to either make more money or save more money might actually sound more interesting than in times of stable growth. So here again, if you have some beef, these companies might be more interested. Consumers, same thing. If you sell to consumers, of course now we see consumers get more budget conscious everywhere. So if you can provide the same stuff or better stuff at a better price, even if you provide a bit less, sure you're gonna have an audience. And lastly, but not least, you might from scratch build a more recession-proof business. Starting off in overheated times might be very easy when you're flushed with money and possibly with stupid buyers, but now you're forced from the beginning to look more critically at your fixed cost structure and a tougher market. And actually, to one survey that I saw not long ago, analyzing American publicly listed companies. They analyzed the year that a company had been established with its success over the following many years. And according to this survey, it turned out that companies established during recession, during difficult years, on average became more successful in the long run than companies established in boom years. So there might be some truth to that. Of course, we've heard this so many times today, but yes, in Russia many things are difficult. Corruption, we've heard much about it, and everyone knows about it. Who's ever been to Russia? Bureaucracy, slowness, Trade barriers, we've talked so much about this today, but trade barriers are slowing down the internationalization of small companies, both importing companies and exporting companies. And I think this is also a very significant barrier to the growth of small businesses. It's much more difficult for Russian small business to internationalize, and the internationalization level of Russian small companies is quite, well, we have exceptions, of course, but it's quite, on average, quite low. And of course, trade barriers you often have to protect companies. It's mentioned another survey or an article that I read about trade protection in India. Customs duties were the function of protecting India's production industry. In '91, India slashed its import duties, and over the following years, production of these Indian Russian companies grew much faster than before, because it became much easier for these companies to import what they needed for their own growth. And of course, low quality infrastructure. We all know that the quality of roads and airports are developing country standard of quality, unfortunately, still. So we have this saying. In Russia, everything is difficult, but everything is possible. See, все сложно, но все возможно. And that's certainly very much true. We have to remember that every problem that you face in a growing economy in Russia is also a huge opportunity. Every shortcoming that you run into might be a huge opportunity to do something about it. And I think especially seen here from Lappeenranta, just on the border to this huge growth market, I think it's hard to exaggerate the opportunity that we still have in catch up and efficiency increase in the Russian economy. And to be honest, I think there are chances that the opportunities or the next boom when it starts over the next 10 years might easily be much bigger and more significant than the previous 10-year oil-driven boom. First of all, we start, of course, economically, we start from a much higher base than we did 10 years ago, which gives more fuel for growth. We have more to grow from, so every % of growth now is much more than every % of growth 10 years ago. And but we still have lots of catch up to do and lots of simple efficiency increases, which gives plenty of room for growth. And we have a huge market, and I think this is a very powerful combination indeed. So when things get on track again, the opportunities, of course, are absolutely enormous still. And it's always easy to say the opportunity was then. It's always so much easier for us to look at opportunities that were, rather than the opportunities that will come. But I'm sure in 10 years from now, we will sit here or wherever we will sit, we will realize how many successful companies hadn't even been started yet today, and I think where the big opportunities will be. I mean, anyone who lives in Russia or goes to Russia much knows that one ubiquitous problem is the concept of bad or expensive. Many things or services in Russia are either very expensive or not very good, and I think in all fields of life. These are where value for money, good things from bad and expensive to good and cheap. We're still going to see the birth and the growth of Russia's, Ikeas, H&Ms, Volkswagens, basic things, providing basic pleasure and basic comfort and basic efficiency to the masses. The extent to which we will capitalize on these opportunities, of course, depend only on us and on our aggregated efforts as entrepreneurs and business people and voters, for those that have the vote. Thank you.